The decision on whether Gauteng's e-toll system will be scrapped or not is on the Cabinet's radar. This is according to Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula, who tabled his department's budget yesterday. Mbalula says deliberations are at an advanced level.
E-tolls are before Cabinet in terms of me and the Minister of Finance going back to Cabinet about them. He has informed me now that he has arrived at a particular decision, so we need to take it to Cabinet. We don't have a choice, it's a matter of agency. And to be transparent with you, we're looking at the issue of the fuel levy. Now the fuel levy has become a complicated issue for us, even with what is happening in Ukraine and the skyrocketing levels of fuel in our country. So it is not an option we can look at only.
For more on this, we are joined by Organisation Undoing Tax Abuse CEO Wayne Duvenage. Wayne, very good afternoon. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Let's start off with the compliance on e-toll. Just how much compliance has there been since they were introduced?
Well, introduced right at the end of 2013, compliance reached within 6 months at about 40% levels, where it peaked out by June 2014, and from there on it slid downwards. At the moment, for the last couple of years, it's been at about 15%. That means 85% have not been participating in the scheme, and that continues to decline every month. So slightly, there's just a handful of businesses, and not even all government departments are paying.
So at its height of compliance, just how much revenue was collected?
Well, it was getting about 120 million rand a month. It needed to generate 250 million. That's what their target was. And when you launch these schemes, you need to launch with people being compliant from month one, maybe a couple of months to get them there. But this was a scheme that was always going to be resisted and was right from the beginning. And only through a very coercive process, by the way, and threatening the public, did they get to 40% compliance. And this was a user pay scheme that needed all users to pay, not 40%, not 80%, all of them.
Now, when you use the word scheme, in many ways it suggests something that has an ulterior motive and is obviously not does not have the buy-in, certainly of the population. What were the challenges with getting maximum buy-in?
Well, they needed to be transparent up front with what they were doing. They needed to get the public involved through this one specifically, through a very coordinated and concerted public engagement program. We've researched how this is done in cities around the world, and seen how mayors do it very well, and the authorities in countries where they even have a referendum and a vote on it, and put various alternatives. That never happened in this scheme, unfortunately, for SANRAL and the government. So it became quite a shock to the public when they saw these gantries going up and started asking the questions. And then government started a very belated engagement program. But the horse had bolted. The public were extremely frustrated. And various other factors came into being. But this scheme was doomed long before it started because of the lack of transparency and a number of other factors. The main one being it was unadministrable, it was unenforceable, it was trying to be forced into an environment where the administration and the cumbersomeness of it was never going to allow it to work.
Well, one of the biggest challenges, as you mentioned, has been trust issues. Certainly the public and government, there is no trust. Do we know what has happened to that initial amount, that 120 million that was being collected every month, and subsequently in the last few months?
Well, in the last few months, it's come right down in the last few years to 50 million rand a month, and they should be, with increases, have taken it up to 300 million. But we've always said that was highly inflated. This was an overpriced scheme. We shouldn't have been paying the amount in the first place for an 18 billion rand road upgrade that should not have cost more than 8 billion rand. On top of that, government started out by asking for 60 cents a kilometre, and then they quickly dropped that to 30 cents, trying to appease the public. So what's happened is that money that's been coming in has barely been covering just the collection costs. So you're paying money to enable the people who are collecting it to just manage the administration. Nothing's gone into the tarmac, or so to speak. Nothing's gone to offset the bonds, that the 18 billion rand plus bonds that were borrowed for this upgrade. So it's been a failure from day one. And now we hear the ministers talking about, possibly trying to increase the fuel levy to pay for this scheme. But that horse is also bolted. We said they should have increased the fuel levy by 10 cents back in 2008 when the fuel levy was around R1.20. But they've increased the fuel levy by over R2.50 since then. So the money is there. They've been receiving it. Unfortunately, the dynamics have changed. There's interest on those bonds, and they're probably going to want to come with an increase of 25 to 28 cents per litre. Now, in this time and day and age when the country is under massive pressure on the fuel price, it's far too late, and we've indicated to government that they need to find these funds, as they have already been doing, by allocating normal treasury allocations to SANRAL to fund this freeway upgrade. They've been doing it for the last 6 years anyway. 13 billion rand has been given to SANRAL for this freeway upgrade. But just so much mismanagement in the past has created a bigger problem for us now.
When Duvenage, Outer CEO, thank you for your time this afternoon and just outlining the issue around the e-tolls, and he described it as an absolute disaster.